Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake lie or imagination. Sattology builds your identity. Mythology actually destroys your identity. The word mythology was coined so that the natives of every single land on the planet of the earth do not have a written history or written records of their traditions, history, or knowledge. The same was attempted over India. But we see that the Indian Vedic scriptures, Shastra, and the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and other Sanskrit scriptures were written by great sages. Those could not be modified because Sanskrit is a mathematical language. So if you have to modify one single vowel in any Sanskrit shloka, you have to modify the entire shloka, all the shlokas. So that's how powerful Sanskrit language is, and that is why they could not do it. And for plagiarizers and stealers of thoughts and all the mythologists, that Sanskrit comes in their way because Sanskrit is a very scientific language and they cannot modify it. So they have to live with being proved wrong all the time. I have a very special guest. We have waited a lot for him on this show. We didn't wait for anyone else, but only for him. And because he's came with a very strong recommendation from a very good friend, Nileshok, and he sings about him like he has thousand mouths, and therefore we had to wait. And today he's on the show for the first time. So let us welcome Jeevan Rao. Welcome.
Namaste Aditya ji.
Namaste. So Jeevan, what made you so special in the eyes of Nilesh Oak and Rupa Bhati?
I should say it's just they are very kind enough towards me. That's all. Because I mean, just 2 years back, I was just a curious guy who was interested in reading Ramayana and Mahabharata. That's it. They watered the plant.
It's always good to give credit to your gurus. I really appreciate that because nowadays in the world, gurus have become like either a ceremonial topic or people use guru. It's a fashionable topic in certain circles, and people use guru to jump over somebody else's shoulder also, including guru's shoulder. Right? We all do that. Now, coming to your research, and I know your book is coming out on Kali Yuga, and I'm very, very fascinating to look at it, the contents and everything which comes out when it comes out. So, you have also done research on Valmiki Ramayana, and my book was also there, One Arrow, One Kill, and Global Footprint of Ramayana, where I've just followed the Sanskrit shlokas and gone where the Sanskrit takes us, what Valmiki
Mm.
has written takes us. So, what is the key astonishing things which you discovered in Valmiki Ramayana?
Yeah, the most fascinating thing that I found out was its accuracy. You can match almost every description given in Ramayana to our present day. I mean, I'm speaking of geographical locations. The geographical descriptions given in Ramayana, you can match it almost exactly to the present day location. So that actually inspired me or rose my curiosity to just go and find out where each of the locations of Ramayana are present in the current map, on the current map. So I first started with Jatayu because it's also there's also a very interesting tidbit on that. Around 2 to 3 years back, the Kerala Jatayu Park was gaining popularity. So while going through the news article on that Kerala Jatayu Park, I just randomly opened the Google Maps and saw where the location was. It was like right at the southern tip of India. So I then I thought if Jatayu fell at this south of India, then how come Ramayana is mentioning Sita dropped her ornaments in Kishkinda, which is modern day MP? So that's how I actually got into Ramayana research. And it's like connecting a dots. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was already looking out for Ravana's Lanka.
No, this is a very fascinating topic and it rattled many people. because everyone who has read Valmiki Ramayana and just followed the shloka, then you cannot miss the direction because he's from the all the forest Charanya. He goes down Dandakaranya. He goes down, goes to Janasthan, Kishkinda, Pampa Sarovar, Pampa Sarovar, Kishkinda, and then down, straight down. There's no
Yeah.
mention of southwest, southeast. So, so what are the things you omitted in the shlokas? What are the things you removed?
I actually did not remove anything. I mean,
Like in the
wherever
sense,
geography was.
yeah, in the
Mm,
sense, what I'm asking is like, what are the things you like? You have to do naiti for logic, so that you come to
mhm,
the Jatayu's position. What are the naiti
mm.
part?
Uh, Basically, there comes. I used the I mean, chronology informations. I followed chronology, like where when Jatayu fought with Ravan, and then what happened after Jatayu fell, and what happened when Ram met Jatayu. So these three chronology pointers are very important when we find the location of Jatayu's fall. And then Ramayana also provides us geographical pointers. Ramayana mentions us, gives us the names of rivers that are very useful when we find the location of Jatayu. So basically, these are straightforward references. That's what surprised me actually. It was there for everyone to see, but it's quite sad to say that majority of them did not see the direct references in the Ramayana.
See, the thing is, like most of these Ramayana researchers, they come to the conclusion that they go into the bhakti marg, which is essential. I mean, bhakti is a core topic in Bhagavad Gita. And they go to Tulsi Ramayana, which is very bhakti-maya. Then they go to different Ramayana, but they do not refer to Valmiki Ramayana because it shocks all the existing narratives. That's why everyone is scared to be shocked, and so it's like a shock to them. So I'll get you to begin with the presentation, and then we'll continue our discussion towards the end. But today is going to be the legend of Jatayu. Watch very
Yeah.
carefully. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Before I start my presentation, Aditya, just I want to ask you a question. Which location comes to your mind when I mention Jatayu's fall?
Jatayu's
Just
fall.
candid question.
Yeah, Jatayu's fall is towards the Mahendra Giri Parvat, towards there. Not
Hmm.
it cannot be before that because he's waiting over there for Sri Ram. And Sampati meets him right at the ocean source, right?
Yeah, you are going to like this today's topic.
That was a qualifying question, audience, for me.
I will start sharing my screen.
Yeah,
Okay, I hope my screen is visible.
very clear, very clear.
Yeah, so this is going to be a series called Geography of Ramayana, where we will be discussing few well-known or important key locations associated with Ramayana, so that we will see finally where these locations lead us to locate Ravana's Lanka. So today we will start with Jatayu's fall. Why did I choose Jatayu's fall as the first topic? Because Jatayu is the first uh, creature with which Ram hears about Lanka and Ravana for the first time. So Jatayu plays a very crucial role in dictating the future course of Ramayana. So the story of Jatayu's fight and fall begins when Lakshman punishes Shurpanaka, and she goes and brings her army of Rakshasas, and Ram and Lakshman single-handedly destroys their entire army. So this news travels to Ravana's court, and it was actually a watershed moment for Ravana. When the Janasthan of Ravana's kingdom fell, it created tremors in Ravana's court. So that's when Ravana decided to deal with Rama himself, and he flies over to Janasthan and Panchavati. So Ram and Lakshman are distracted by Marich as a golden deer. At that moment, Ravana abducts Sita. So in the process, Jatayu was actually living nearby to Panchavati. There are Ramayana references which actually state that Rama was living very nearby to Jatayu. So Jatayu looks at Sita being abducted and he makes a desperate attempt to save Sita. They fight a very long battle actually in the mid-air and on the earth also. So Jatayu was actually very old when this fight took place. So he was gradually overpowered by Ravan, and Ravan defeats Jatayu by clipping his wings, and Jatayu fell on the ground. Now, there is something very important we need to note. Jatayu fell immediately after Ravana cut his wings. The verse says, Sachitra Pakshaha Sahasa Rakshasa Raudra Karmana. The Sahasa word is the key here. It means immediately. So we have to understand wherever Rama met Jatayu, that was the place where the fight between Jatayu and Ravan took place. Jatayu did not crawl anywhere after falling, he just fell to the earth. That's it. So, this is one chronology pointer that we need to remember. Moving forward, now Jatayu has gone and Ravana continues his flight. Now Sita is very desperate to save herself and she starts screaming Lakshmana and Rama's names. And at that moment, she watches five Vanaras on a hilltop. So what she does, as it's like giving a clue to Rama to follow her trail. So she wraps her ornaments in a piece of cloth and she drops it. And this verse shows that on seeing those Vanaras, Sita dropped her ornaments. Tesham madhye vishalakshi kausheyam kanakaprabham uttariyam vararoha shubani abharanani cha mumocha yadi ramaya samseshu iti bhamini. That means she thinks that these Vanaras will give these ornaments to Ram when he comes looking for her. Now, this location was Pampa or Kishkinda region. I mean the present day Hampi. Now, why do I say that? We will see reference for this also in the coming slides. So now we know that Ravan has abducted Sita. He has moved over from Panchavati and he is now passing over Kishkinda. So that's the evidence of Ravana's flight that we will be looking at today. Now back to Ram. Ram, after killing Marichi, he comes back to his Panchavati and he sees the Sita is missing there. So he and Lakshman goes about searching and finding where Sita could be. So that's when they locate Jatayu. Jatayu was actually already almost lifeless. He was breathing his last. So Ram gives some water to Jatayu and they both get the information needed for Jatayu. So the exhausted Jatayu describes the abduction for Rama before passing away. So Jatayu informs how he tried to fight Ravan and save Sita. And he also informs a very key point here. Sitam adaya vaidiham prayato dakshina mukaha. So it is Jatayu who gave the southward pointer to Ram. If there was no Jatayu, I don't think Ram would have easily went to Kishkinda, from where we see the further narration of Ramayana. So here, this is the third important pointer actually, because Jatayu directs Ram to go in the southern direction. Next, once Jatayu passes away, Rama actually laments a lot. He in fact states to Lakshman that the passing away of Jatayu is hurting him more than Sita's abduction. And he also equates Jatayu with his own father, Dasharath, saying Jatayu is as honorable to me as Dasharath. So Ram decides to perform the final rites of Jatayu. Now, this actually gives a geography poison pill for location of Jatayu's fall. What Ramayana says is, Ram and Lakshman performed the final rites of Jatayu on the banks of river Godavari. Tato Godavarim Gatva Nadim Naravara Atmajau. Udakam Chakrathu Tasmai Grudha Rajaya Toubau. So what this means is, I hope you can see this dark blue line here over the Indian map. This is the river course of Godavari. So what Ramayana is explicitly stating is the fall of Jatayu and the final rites of Jatayu has to happen somewhere around this region. It cannot happen north of that or south of that. So when we start to analyze the plausible locations for Jatayu's fall, we have to make sure that the accurate or precise location lies along this region. So Ram performs the final rites of Jatayu and he starts his southward journey. Because remember, Jatayu had informed Ram that Ravan took Sita in the southern direction. So on the course of his journey, gradually Rama arrives at Kishkinda, Sugriva's territory. So there Ram meets Sugriva and Sugriva informs Ram that Sita had dropped her ornaments while getting abducted by Ravan. So this is how I stated that the region where Sita dropped her ornaments was Pampa or Kishkinda region. These are the references from the Ramayana which informs us that it was indeed Kishkinda where Sita dropped her ornaments, and Sugriva was an eyewitness actually for the abduction. So they collect those ornaments carefully and they keep it in a cave, inside a cave safely, so that once Ram comes, they can provide it as proof for identification. So now we got three important chronology pointers here. One is Jatayu fights Ravan and falls. This is the first chronology incident that takes place. And then Sita drops her ornaments near Kishkinda. So, what we should understand by these two references is the fall of Jatayu, wherever that happened, must be between Panchavati and Kishkinda. That is between modern day Nasik and modern day Hampi. We have to look for the region in between this. And the additional constraint, the geographical constraint that Ramayana provides is the region between Panchavati and Kishkinda should lie nearby the river Godavari. So, using these three uh, crucial pointers, we can infer that Jatayu's fall must have happened somewhere between Panchavati and Kishkinda, that is modern day Nasik and Hampi, and the location of the fall was near river Godavari. So this is the information that Ramayana provides us about Jatayu's fall. I have given you every reference that we can find which helps us in finding the location for Jatayu's fall. So now let us analyze some of the well-known locations or claimants for Jatayu's fall and see which one actually suits the narration of Ramayana better, which one corroborates the Ramayana's evidence. The most popular claim or location for Jatayu's fall is called as Lepakshi. It's in present Andhra Pradesh. This is the Jatayu Park of Lepakshi. So let's see if Lepakshi corroborates the Ramayana evidence or not. Now, the first point that we are seeing here is Kishkinda, which is modern day Hampi or Hospet region, and this is Lepakshi. So as you can see, the Nasik or Panchavati is to the north of Kishkinda, way above here, somewhere here, where my pointer is. So basically, the Lepakshi location is such that it is to the south of Kishkinda. That means there is no way Ravan traveling in southern direction reaches Kishkinda first, reaches Lepakshi first before he reaches Kishkinda. So Lepakshi does not corroborate the chronology events mentioned in Ramayana. And also regarding the geographical geographical criteria, Lepakshi is a massive 550 kilometers away from river Godavari. So it is almost impractical and impossible for anyone to just travel 550 kilometers to perform final rites. So we can see that Lepakshi does not corroborate either chronology narration or geographical pointers given by Ramayana. Next, this is Chadayamangalam. This is located in Kerala, and folks would know it by this giant eagle or vulture sculpture. This has actually gained prominence in the recent years, like around 5 or 6 years. So this is the second most popular location for Jatayu's fall. And I should give credit that it was this location which actually brought me into Jatayu research. So on the map, when we see, this is the Kishkinda, uh, where Sugreeva saw the abduction of Sita after Jatayu's fall. And down here, way down here, is where Chadayamangalam is located. So the distance between just Kishkinda and Chadayamangalam is around 700 kilometers. Then you can imagine the distance between Chadayamangalam and Nasik. There is no way Ramayana corroborates such a scenario where Ravan leaves from Panchavati and reaches Chadayamangalam, where Jatayu falls, and then reaches Kishkinda. Because Ramayana is clear, or rather, Jatayu is clear when he says Ravana moved in southern direction. So even Chadayamangalam does not corroborate the Ramayana evidence. And I won't even bother showing you the distance between Chadayamangalam and river Godavari. It's not even necessary. We can make our inference. So these two are actually the two most popular claims for the location of Jatayu's fall. If these two are false, then what can be the location for Jatayu's fall? So I identified Darashu, a modern day Osmanabad, as one of the potential locations for Jatayu's fall. And this is the Ramling temple of Darashu. So this is a very small temple, and only this image, whatever you are seeing, is the only proof there to suggest that this place has some tradition or folklore related to Ramayana times and Jatayu. So I decided to test the validity or veracity of Darashu to be the location of Jatayu's fall. So when I look at the map, this is Nasik or Panchavati, and this right down is Darashu. Darashu is to the north of Kishkinda. So it corroborates the chronology information given in Ramayana. For example, if that is to say, if Ravan leaves from Panchavati, abducting Sita, he has to pass through Darashu before he reaches Kishkinda. So this is one positive point for Darashu. And Darashu is located around 100 kilometers from the banks of Godavari River. So this might look a bit too much, but it's not impossible for a human to cover 100 kilometers, because even in modern day, Bangalore people usually go to Mysore, a place called Mysore, which is around 200 kilometers, to perform the final rites of their dead folks, or folks who passed away. So it is a bit high, but not impossible. So is Darashiv the location of Jatayu's fall? Fortunately for us, Ramayana gives us one more criteria to identify where exactly Jatayu fell. Because when Ram and Lakshman goes around searching for Sita, they state that they should probably search just around the Janasthan, which is the modern day Nasik, surroundings of Nasik region. This is the verse that says that they should search just around the Janasthan, because this place is filled with demons, Rakshasas. So it is quite possible that someone among there has abducted Sita. Now, why can't Darashu or Osmanabad be in Janasthan? Because the distance between Nasik and Darashu is massive 300 kilometers. So here Lakshman is stating casually that we should search around surroundings of Nasik, not somewhere 300 kilometers from Nasik. So we thought Darashu is actually the better claim. right, among Lepakshi and Chadayamangalam to be the location for Jatayu's fall. Now, Ramayana has given us one more criteria, which is not corroborated by Dharashiv. So, is it possible for us to find a better location which can corroborate these 3 to 4 points now raised by Ramayana? Which are those 4 points? Jatayu's fall should happen after Panchavati. Jatayu's fall should happen before Kishkinda. Jatayu's fall should happen near river Godavari, and Jatayu's fall should happen in the surroundings of Janasthan. So when I started to look out for the such a area which corroborates all these pointers, I found out that there is a village, a small village called Taket in Maharashtra. There is a very small temple dedicated to Jatayu known as Sarva Tirth Jatayu Mandir. And most of the folks outside Taket don't have not even heard about this location. So when we look at this in the map, now the first pointer is Panchavati and the second pointer is Taket. It is located just 30 or 33 kilometers right to the south of Panchavati. So this is actually corroborating Ramayana's evidence because obviously Taket is coming before Kishkinda. So that point is over. And also the distance between Nasik and Dharashiv was 300 kilometers. Whereas here the distance between these two is only mere 33 kilometers. So even this gives an advantage for Taket over Dharashiv. And then coming over to our Godavari, even Godavari is located at just around 35 kilometers from Taket, which is a massive improvement when we compare it to 100 kilometers from Dharashiv to Godavari. Now, there is actually something even more interesting here. And in fact, this is something I am giving out for the first time. I had not included this point in my article. So here, this blue water body, whatever you are seeing near my pointer, is actually called as Dharna River. It's located just 2.5 to 3 kilometers from Taket. And this river flows in this direction, and near here, it joins with Godavari and it becomes Godavari. From here on, this river course is called as Godavari and not as Dharna. So it is very possible that Valmiki mentioned this Dharna river itself as river Godavari because it is a very small tributary of Godavari. So that makes Taket even more plausible place for Jatayu's fall because from Taket it's only 2 kilometers for the banks of Godavari river. So we saw that Taket corroborates all 4 pointers given by Ramayana. So we can confidently infer or we can confidently state that it was in Taket, Maharashtra, where the fight between Jatayu and Ravan took place, and it was where Jatayu fell, and Rama performed the final rites of Jatayu.
Yeah, very simply, like the Janasthan is not today's Nashik. It's a little bit southeast of Nashik. And people say that it is Janasthan. And Janasthan, we all know that the ashram which Lakshman had made.
Yeah.
And Agastya Muni had said, this place is really protected by me. So you have to go further towards the Godavari. And that's how they reached over there. So there is also you correctly said that the Janasthan area was not protected by Agastya Rishi, Agastya Muni ashram, but it was still safer place because Agastya Muni ashram has to be southeast from there. Am I right over there?
Yeah, he mentions that, right? That you have to pass through the hills and you have to go in a specific direction and you have to reach river Godavari and there you have to build your hut or your place.
Yes, because he says that because the Ravan's armies were wreaking havoc all over the place, but Janasthan, above Janasthan, their power was less, diminished. And so
Yeah.
by the time they could have reached Ayodhya, much lesser, because the first instance we see is Tataka Vad, which is where the first time the Bhagwan Ram met uh, the Ravan's armies parts of.
Army. Yeah. Yeah.
So did you also, when you were doing this analysis on the map, did you, and I really like the way you put the directions accurately, trying to make it as per the Valmiki Ramayana shloka. The if you know if these distances are so well described, and I really like the way Valmiki Ramayana gives references of rivers, mountains, and also he says which directions you can go, which you cannot go. It gives specific directions. Won't it be logical to assume that if one grain of the rice is boiled, you can soft it,
Mm.
the rest of the Ramayana should be accurate also?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so when we pick up the geography, like I follow the simple logic. Mahabharat says, Vyasdev says that the geography, if any history does not follow Mahabharat's geography, then, or Mahabharat's land, the description of the land, then that history has no beginning, no real beginning. The Mahabharat. So that's the logic I think you are also taking here, where in Valmiki Ramayana, the pointers are very accurate. What mountain
Mm.
is where, and even today, the Pampa Sarovar and Kishkinda very accurately match. Sugriva
Yes.
Gufa, and they very accurately match. So after doing this analysis, like of Jatayu, we already know what was his previous role in the previous birth before Brahma asked him to come here. What was the origin of Jatayu, according to you,
Jatayu and Sampati are brothers,
brothers?
right? They are brothers, and they both were actually competing, and they went in the course of their competition. They went very near to sun. So at that time, Sampati actually covered Jatayu. Sampati is the elder brother of Jatayu. Sampati covered Jatayu with his own wings. So Ramayana says that as a result of that, Sampati burnt his wings and he fell down, and Jatayu was unharmed. So that's how Jatayu became the king of vultures or eagles in Ramayana times. And also, as soon as Rama reaches the Panchavati or Janasthan, right, Jatayu actually reaches out to Ram and informs that, let me serve you. Your father was very respectable for me, and he was my very good friend. So let me serve you. So that's when actually, even before Jatayu fell, Rama and Jatayu were actually uh, close friends, we can say. And even Sampati actually plays a very important role later in the later events of Ramayana. When the Vanara parties go to the south, right, to search for Lanka, Sampati is the last piece of the puzzle who gives them the precise location of Lanka actually.
See, one of the things is like nowadays, if somebody says, I want to serve you, it's become a very negative word. But most of the politicians or communists who like servants, because they're actually creating servants, and that too, they're not paying them or treating them with respect. But in Valmiki Ramayana, service is voluntary. People want
Yeah.
to serve. If they want to serve, it's voluntary. And nobody is like nowadays, most of the communists, leftists, mythologists, they will always say, oh, servants mean Shudra. It's not, Shudra is a different meaning altogether, especially in the
Yeah.
Treta Yuga. It's completely different. In Kali Yuga, all the casteist people are there, European casteist system. I would like to tell them everyone is Shudra. Kalos Shudra Sambhava. So
Yeah.
don't be proud of anything, of your birth or anything. Just focus on karma. But very eye-opening, and Jeevan, I'm very happy to have you, and we'll do the series, and we'll follow Jatayu. And you took the right thing. This, we all want to, everyone wants Ram, but nobody wants, sorry, everyone wants Ram Rajya, but nobody wants Ram.
Mhm.
But to get Ram, you have to become Jatayu.
Exactly.
If you want to get the blessings Ram, you have to become Jatayu. You do something for Ram, do something for Dharma. And otherwise, and Jatayu gave up his life for it. life for protecting Mother Sita. And so do something like that, and don't glorify Ravan. The Ravan,
Yeah,
however educated person may be, but his karma defines who actually he is or she is.
that is actually lesson for some of our present day learned folks, right? Your degrees or your graduations don't define you.
Exactly.
Your actions defines you.
Exactly. I mean, and that is not being taught in the schools also. Schools don't
Yeah,
teach karma, schools don't teach responsibility, schools don't teach any such thing. It is left up to the people to just figure out on their own. They're going to teach them everything else, including eating with the forks, which is it can injure your mouth sometimes. But not teach them basic things like karma, dhyana, yoga, which is essential for a person to develop. And after by the age of 50, person naturally reaches that level because the senses are all going down. And then what is the use? It's already past your life. It's all over.
yeah,
It has to start at 5 years of age. And I want to talk to you more about your journey in next episode because I have skipped that part. I wanted to talk to you about you. How did you get inspired here? Because you can inspire other youth who are just busy in comparing their dresses with the fake Bollywood artists, all of them. I call them artists. And generally in Mahabharata time, nata, all these their nutcase English word is very accurate. They all were kept outside the cities. They're not allowed
yeah,
inside the cities. Even in the USA, New York is a financial hub. The New York Business Association asked the Hollywood to move out of New York. So they throw them away 2,000 miles in Los Angeles. In from India, they should be thrown to some part of India, which is maybe it's Bengal. They should be thrown away in Bengal from Bombay because they're polluting the business atmosphere over there. We
yeah.
don't want Bombay to be known as Nut and Nutwar. Nutwar is our supreme dancer, but Nut, we don't want to have nut
Mm,
cases over there, which is too many of them. So thank you so
yeah.
much, Ivan. Appreciate, and for all the viewers, do watch this and share this. This is amazing. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.